330 in Richmond Hill, Queens. I am here to present my Gold Award, which is about those buried in Maple Grove Cemetery and their accomplishments in life. But first, for those who don't really know what it is, a brief introduction to what the Gold Award is. The Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest achievement in Girl Scouts, which requires a Girl Scout to identify and address an issue within, in this case, my community. For my project, I teamed up with Maple Grove Cemetery and their community group, Friends of Maple Grove Cemetery, who has a focus on historical preservation through the community and the people buried here. The history here is important as it shows how our community grew and changed over the years, and how the people here could have affected not only our community, but the country as a whole. To show this, I researched and highlighted the lives of 15 individuals who are buried here, who made significant contributions to the arts and the culture found within their community and the country over the past 150 years to preserve their legacy. Throughout the duration of my research, I discovered that many people here, despite best efforts to discover more about their life, haven't lost the time with little to no information available. One example of this is Miss Anna Baxter, a young local stage actress and dancer who passed away when she was 20. She was the last of her lineage, and most of the information that we have been able to find on her was from the 1940 census. The lack of knowledge on Baxter bothered me while I was researching for this project, due to her being a part of this community that has been lost to time, and that is a fate that nobody deserves. Sorry. In order to help keep the legacy and stories of those in Maple Grove alive, here are 15 artistic and cultural visionaries buried here at Maple Grove. Starting with James E. Ware. Ware was an American architect who lived from 1846 to 1918 and was a Civil War veteran who served in the 7th Regiment of the National Guard of New York from 1864 to 1867. He created the idea of dumbbell tenements, which improved the lives of those alive during the 1900s. And he also designed the 12th Regiment Armory, as well as the Madison Avenue Presbyterian Church. Ware was buried in Maple Grove as a part of the payment for helping to design part of the cemetery. Next, Don Marquis. He lived from 1878 to 1937 and was an American humorist, journalist, and author. He has two popular characters, Archie the Cockroach and Methable the Cat, who appeared in Marquis's satirical stories and verses in his newspaper columns, and eventually in their own books. Eleanor Cunningham Bannister was a portrait painter who lived from 1858 to 1939. Bannister had a focus on portraits, both self and of others, including different leaders within the community. Her art can be found within the Brooklyn Museum. Vincent Milley-Usman was an American composer and Broadway producer who was alive from 1898 to 1946. After being drafted into the Navy for World War II during 1917 to 1918, he produced troupe shows for his fellow soldiers. He made his Broadway debut with Two Little Girls in 1921. He also was in musicals No, No, Nanette and Hit the Deck. He also wrote songs for Flying Down to Rio. 18 of his compositions are recognized as standards by the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. His music can be found in the Songwriter Hall of Fame and the American Theater Hall of Fame. Edith Branner was a popular dancer who often performed with her husband, Martin Branner. She was alive from 1892 to 1966 and spent 15 years performing in stock theater, musical comedy, and vaudeville. She was the main inspiration for the main character of her husband's comic, Wendy Winky. Sadly, the only image we were able to find of Edith Branner was this one, which is a postcard of her and her husband performing dance together. Martin Branner. Martin Branner was not only a performer and dancer along with his wife, but he was also a popular cartoonist. He was alive from 1888 to 1970 and had multiple comics, such as Louis the Lawyer, Pete and Pinto, and his most popular work, Winnie Winky, which is enjoyed by over 8.5 million people. Dorothy Columbine Bedell, born in 1901 and died in 1980, was an award-winning artist and painter. She is listed in the national and international books of Who's Who American Women and was also the art chairman of the National League of the American Penwomen's Branch of Long Island. She was also a member of the Art League of Nassau County, making her a large part of the art community here in New York. Nicholas A. Moufarage, born in Egypt in 1947 and dying in New York in 1985, became an integral part of the East Village art community, despite only living in New York for 4 years. He used his work of embroidery and tapestry to express himself, and was, sadly, one of the first to die due to the AIDS epidemic of the 1980s. His work can be found at the Queen's Museum. Laverne Baker was a popular blues singer who popularized R&B across America. She was born in 1929 in Illinois and died in New York in 1997. She moved to New York in the 1950s, and her first hit song was Tweedledee in 1954. She continued to grow in popularity with songs such as Jim Dandy and I Cried a Tear. For years, her grave in Maple Grove was unmarked, but in 2008, thanks to their fundraisers ran by fans and historians, Baker was finally able to get her headstone. Theresa Merritt, who was alive from 1922 to 1998, was a popular African-American actress and Broadway actress. Merritt is most known for her role as Eloise from That's My Mama. She was also in Broadway shows such as Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, in which her performance nominated her for a Tony Award. She was also in television shows such as The Wiz, The Goodbye Girl, and Billy Madison. Irving Rapper is a British-born American director, being born in 1898, and immigrating to the US when he was 8. He began his career with acting in New York, with Broadway and the Washington Square Players. In the 1940s, he worked as a director for Warner Bros. His films include Now Voyager, The Corn is Green, Deception, and Majority Morning Star. He was known to work closely with his actors, which helped to give a powerful performance. He died in 1999. Leslie Kaliadis was a photographer who was alive from 1960 to 1999. She was diagnosed with HIV in 1992, and using photography, she documented her illness, mostly through photographs of nature. In the mid-1990s, Kaliadis began working with video, releasing a trilogy of videos in 1997 named What is Illness?, Altered After, and The Journey. These videos and her photographs were shown in 1997 at Pulse Art. After her death, in 2009, her work was included in an exhibit at Participant Inc., and MoMA also has a file on her. Derek Anson Jones was alive from 1961 to 2000, and was a director who believed in connecting to the audience through an emotional style. He went to Brown University and Yale School of Drama. He is most well known for Wit, who won the 1999 Pulitzer Prize for Drama. Jones himself won multiple awards, such as the 1999 Lord Tull Award, the 1997 Connecticut Critics Circle Award, and the 1996 NEA TGC Directing Fellowship. His other credits include Without Skin or Breathlessness at PS 122, Measure for Measure at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, Angelique for MCC Theater, and more. Edouard Waugh, who was alive from 1939 to 2003, was a Haitian Chinese artist who blended different styles into his paintings. He learned from many famous Haitian artists, such as Pétion Sévigné and Luckner Lazard. In 1963, he started a cultural center called Calfou in Haiti to promote Haitian artists, arts, and culture. And finally, we have Dana Dawson Curry, who was alive from 1974 to 2010, and was a singer and songwriter who gained popularity when she was young. One of her first roles was in the touring production of Annie, when she was 7 years old. When she was 14, her song, Ready for You, became popular in France, and she continued to make music until her death. Maple Grove Cemetery is a place full of history for both our community and from across the country. By bringing attention to the lives of 15 remarkable individuals who are buried here in our community, I hope that you will have a newfound interest in the stories that this cemetery holds. I suggest, when you all have the time, to look around the cemetery. See if there are any names that stand out to you. Look into them, learn more about them. Find a Grave is an amazing research to both look into and add information to on anyone buried here. And also, if you have any information on anyone who's buried here that may not be easily accessible, feel free to share it to Find a Grave or to members of Friends of Maple Grove Cemetery to help us continue preserving history. If you look around the front, you can see a bunch of frames which include the art and photographs of the 15 people that I spoke about today. Each frame comes with a little biography and a QR code that leads to their Find a Grave, which also has their location. Also, please, I know throughout their presentation, I may have noticed their different pieces of artwork. They can be found in different museums, online, or even on Spotify. So I suggest, if you're really curious, to go look more into them. Some of these songs are also really good, and so is the art. And then, of course, there's going to be a reception once I finish where you'll have the opportunity to speak to members of Friends of Maple Grove Cemetery who have helped me tremendously throughout this project. Please go learn about the other projects here and the work they do to preserve and promote the cemetery, and to hear more about upcoming events. And finally, before I fully finish, at the ends of the two tables, there's a little QR code as to a survey that I would like you all to fill out. And there are also paper copies for those who don't know how QR codes work or don't have a phone. But there's only 30, so please only take one if you need one. So yeah, thank you, and have a good rest of your day.